Obviously, I'm going to be talking about the market. So, welcome to Crypto.XL. Yeah, so guys, as predicted, what's been going on in the market is what we expected, right? The interesting thing, right, is that we've now come down to the 200-day moving average, and we are bouncing, right? We expected a bounce around 59K. All right, let's be precise, right? We came down to 59,100. So we went below the 200-week moving average. I don't know if I said 200 day or whatever, but we went below the critical moving average, right? And we went lower than where we were in February. We wicked lower because in February it was approximately 59,800, and just now in June, uh, early June, we've gone down to 59,200, 59,150 approximately. So there's two ways to look at this. If you're a bull, you would say we've double bottomed and now we're going to see some upside. And if you hold to the 4-year theory, you'll look at this and say that this is probably going to be a bull trap and we're probably going to have more downside. So what's my take on this now? My take on this now is that everything is oversold. Bitcoin is severely oversold. We have one of the lowest RSIs that we've had in a very, very long time. So I do expect a bounce here. We do have bearish divergence on all of the time scales, on the daily, on the weekly. I'm not sure that, yes, the daily. It's on the daily, on the weekly, and the 3-day, the 4-hour bearish divergence. I said bearish divergence. Okay. We have bullish divergence on all of the time frames, which means that we're due a bounce. Okay. So we are due a bounce. But since we are in a bear market, this bounce is probably going to be short lived, meaning that Bitcoin is going to retake some of the losses, and it's going to get a lot of people who are sidelined bullish because they're going to see some of the coins go up a lot in a short period of time. But to me, this looks like a trap, right? We've broken structure. We've broken a lot of the critical barriers that we had before, and because of that, I think we're due more downside. The momentum is too strong to the downside. Now that we've broken some critical numbers like 65K, I think 65K was a critical psychological number that I think we're destined to hit 53K at least at the minimum, right? 53K is where the 300-week moving average is. It's where there's a lot of confluence around 53K, and long term heading into October, there's a lot of confluence around 48K. I mean, so these are numbers to keep in mind. That all being said, if you're patient enough to wait, like if you're patient enough to buy in this zone around this area and to wait for years, then this will be a good time to accumulate. Again, if you're able to wait for years, you're able to wait 3-4 years, selling in the bull market. Um, then this is actually a decent time to be accumulating some coins. That all being said, I do think coins are going to be coming down lower. Coins that I have my eye on, SUI, Solana. I'm expecting Solana to drop another 50%. Can you believe that? 50% on Solana. It's completely insane, but I'm expecting near a $30 Solana. And I think, all right, so buying Solana at $70 is a good buy for the bull run, right? But buying Solana at $30, that right there is a good risk to reward proposition for crypto because Solana to me represents what Ethereum used to be. right? So Solana, so basically I could get a 10 to 15x on a top 10 altcoin without going what I consider high risk. So I'm looking at I'm looking at coins that are going to be running the next bull market that has a good risk to reward ratio, such as Solana, that has a possibility of dropping another 50%. And I'm eyeing it and I'm like, if this thing drops to 30, if you look at the Solana chart, there is very little resistance once we start breaking where we are right now. Once we start falling through support, we break 65K, we break, 60K, we break, sounds like I'm talking about Bitcoin. We break $60 on Solana. There's very little support after that to the downside. XRP, which I'm not buying, has the possibility of dropping to 50 cents. It's pretty weak. You've seen what happened to ADA. ADA got obliterated. ADA is like 15 cents now. And Hoskinson came out and he said he's not responsible for the price. So stop bothering him because he's not responsible for the price. He can't control it. But this goes to show you what happens in the bear market. In bear markets, the altcoins go a lot lower than anyone thought possible. They go a lot lower. So these cryptos, right? The ones that are on shaky ground are going to get obliterated. Some of them are going to go to zero. Some of them have already, especially the mid caps and small caps. They've gone to zero. Okay, zero. So if you're holding these things and you're like, I'm just going to hold it through the bear market, and you think that you're going to hold a coin that has a $2 million market cap and you hold it right when the bear market starts and you're like, I'm going to hold it through the bear market, there's a very good chance your project's going to go to zero. That means everything that you had invested in your project could just be for naught. It's better to sell when we break the 50-week moving average. It's better to sell and just to hold on to your money and go touch grass and hang out until they say selling may go away. We sold way back around February or something. So we're just chilling. And not only did we sell, we didn't just sell, we shorted the market. And it was my plan. I remember when I was in the bull market and I looked at you guys and I said, hey, when the bear market comes, we're going to sell out of the bull market and we're just going to short. And we're just going to hold on to coins, not anything too risky, like shorting Ethereum, Solana, these kind of coins. We don't want to short too many of the small caps because they have scam wicks that destroy your position and liquidate you. And we just shorted the top. So all we have to do is just build up capital, let the short work, and build up capital, wait until the depths of the bear market, and to be quite honest, we're now in June, and we've touched the moving average. The chance we're going to touch the 300-week moving average. I'm not going to wait for it, but what I am looking for is I'm looking for Bitcoin to stabilize. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to hold above support and to stay there for a couple weeks. And at that point, that's when I'm like, okay, this is a time to accumulate. I'm also watching Ethereum dominance. I did mention to you a while back that the Ethereum dominance is prominent on my mind for when to accumulate altcoins, because I'm not going to be accumulating these coins and then they go up 20%, then I think I'm a genius, and then it falls 70% in the bear market after going up like that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait until I see a change in the pattern, consistent change in the pattern with Ethereum dominance, since the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio influences how the altcoins perform, right? So if you happen to pick a hyperliquid that defied the direction of how Bitcoin was going, then congrats to you. However, 95% of the people did not pick that coin. Number one. Number two, that is gambling, right? Because you do not know. So if you picked a hyperliquid, there's a chance that you pick 10 coins and hyperliquid happened to be one of them, and you put 5% into hyperliquid and you're still down from where you were from before. So again, Bitcoin is a leader. We're following Bitcoin because Bitcoin influences Ethereum. It influences Ethereum dominance, and Ethereum dominance influences how the altcoins perform. So does the macroeconomic cycle, which influences stocks, which also influences crypto. At the point where we are in the 4-year cycle, we're expecting more downside for Bitcoin. So far, the 4-year cycle has played out to a T. Not it's everything is not going to be a carbon copy on a micro level, but on the macro level, it has played out to a T. So if it's played out to a T so far, we're not going to assume that it's not going to play out, right? We're going to be aware. We're going to make sure we pay attention to what's going on, but we're not going to assume that it's just not playing out. Okay. So at this point, we're gonna stay in or short. I believe that Bitcoin is bouncing. Bitcoin is going to bounce, but again, I think we have more downside. When Bitcoin hits 53K, I think that will be a very good time to start closing out again out of these shorts, right? Maybe not close out of everything, but close out of a significant portion of it. Um, do remember that none of this is financial advice. You're just watching my opinion on the market, and so far everything's playing out. Everything's playing out according to plan. There are going to be some forks in the road, but I think most of these forks in the road or things that happen, like let's say we get a bounce, solidified, is still up in the air. You have AI taking people's jobs. You could sense the nervousness in the air, right? And we're in a K-shaped economy, so you see that people are not comfortable, right? People are not financially stable. So if people are not financially stable, long-term holding these cryptos at this point is just way too risky. But more important, I'm expecting something to push us down to the 300-week moving average. And to expect something like that means basically a black swan event. Uh, but every 4-year cycle there has been a black swan event, right? Whether it's FTX or whether it's COVID or what have you, there's been a black swan event in every 4-year cycle, right? And so we don't know what the event is, right? But there always is an event. So to recap everything I've said, Bitcoin touching the 200-week moving average is a good time to accumulate. So if you want to accumulate some altcoins, then by all means, you go ahead and do so. Just be prepared to be prepared to DCA some more in should your altcoin drop another 50%. And make sure these are altcoins that you have conviction in, right? Don't go buying some $500,000 market cap coin that could go to zero at this point in the cycle if you feel that there is more downside, which I do feel, right? So this is what we're going to do at this point. And again, I'm assuming there's going to be more downside, so I'm not completely closing out of the shorts. But when Bitcoin hits certain levels, so there's two things, right, for my conviction to change. And the two things is Bitcoin hitting certain price points is one, and then the timing of the cycle. So heading closer to October, I'm going to be less bearish, right? The closer we get to October, uh, that's number two. But number one is Bitcoin reaching closer to the 300-week moving average. If the closer we get to that, the less bearish I'm going to be. Okay, because at some point we're going to have to start deploying capital. But I don't feel that the time to deploy capital is right yet. And again, most of the capital I'm deploying is going to be capital that was made during shorting the market, because a bear market is a bull market. It's just a bull market in reverse. Okay, so I'm watching Ethereum dominance. I'm watching the macroeconomic situation, and I'm also determining whether or not people actually have capital to buy altcoins that that I like, right? Is there capital? Is there enough capital out there to buy altcoins? And the truth is, in other markets there is, but it's just not in crypto, right? All the capital is in precious metals. All the capital are in stocks. So there is enough capital. It's just not in crypto. So when is the capital going to feed into crypto? It's going to feed into crypto when the risk environment changes, when people start to get into high risk investments. So until that time, I'm going to remain cautious. It's the time to remain cautious and to preserve capital. It's not time to buy some altcoin that's going to drop 80% by October. I'm not doing that. I mean, it's great making 20% on an uptick and stuff, but if I lose 80%, it doesn't matter, right? So I'm not doing that. And then I run the risk of some of these projects going to zero because the founder comes out and says, "Hey, I'm not responsible for price," and it just goes to, my investment drops 90%. I'm not taking that risk yet, right? So we're gonna keep level headed. We're gonna remain patient, and we're gonna strike when the timing is right, right? So let's say that I wait until Bitcoin's price is 48K or is close to October, and I wait and I miss the initial bounce, and oh, I should have gotten in quicker, and now I missed some gains. Well, what a lot of people will fail to realize is that I saved myself because I didn't lose 90% of my money, right? So if I missed 20% on the upside, I still have my capital and I didn't lose 90% of it by buying dips that just kept on dipping in a bear market. And matter of fact, I shorted the entire thing. So by the time I missed 20% of the upside, I made 400% in a bear market. And I'm using that capital to invest when we start coming back up. So, you know, I'm not too worried about missing out on gains on these dead cat bounces because that's what they are. They're not it's not Bitcoin regaining support at critical levels. These are dead cat bounces that are getting capital to come back into the market before another liquidation event. That's what they are. They're traps. Okay, so this is not it's not the time to be mega bullish. I know you've seen the lowest prices you've seen in a very long time, and it's like I'm bullish because of that. But Bitcoin does not do straight V-shaped recoveries from a bear market. What usually happens is that it stabilizes and you have a couple weeks to catch the stabilization. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at. All right, man. I'm gonna get going, but this was a good talk. You know the strategy. If you want to see the price points where I'm buying at, exactly what price points and when I'm making my entries and what I'm buying, such as SUI, I'm still looking at say definitely Solana. If Solana drops another 50%, I mean, it's a hard proposition to turn down. Very hard. If it drops another, because last bull market Solana went from $8 to above $300. So Solana did like a 35x if you were able to catch the bottom. But how are you going to be able to catch the bottom if you don't have capital, right? Yes. So that's where we are in the market. I will keep you informed on what's going on and what my strategy is. Again, we're watching ETH dominance. We're watching Bitcoin for it to hit those critical levels and to stabilize. And then for Ethereum dominance to look more prominent. Ethereum, according to the range between Ethereum and Bitcoin, Ethereum has a lot more to fall against Bitcoin. I think somewhere around 50%. So does Solana, right? So Solana could be completely devastated by the end of this bear market. It could. And when it does get devastated, should it happen, I'll be there to get some Solana. All right. And so will my Patreons. All right. I will see you at the top. It's been Crypto.XL. And until next time, take care and be good.